Good afternoon. This is the In My Opinion show. I'm your host today, Henry Hatter. Today I would like to continue with part 2 with our guest, Michael Harris, who is a well-known, well-experienced member of the Flint community. As a matter of fact, Michael was born here at Hurley Hospital, he tells me.
Absolutely.
And therefore he has brains that he hasn't used yet.
Well, some of it is oozing out of my ears, but...
But folks, in the first segment we talked about national issues.
Sure.
And Michael was very good. He thought that he was pretty tough on me and that I should not feel bad about that. And now we're coming back again to talk about some local issues that prevails in Genesee County.
Yeah.
And we want our audience to listen to it. Michael, if we have anything... Welcome, Michael.
No, thank you again.
If we have anything in common, can we just agree that we'll let the public decide the difference in where they are within this framework?
Well, yeah. I mean,
because that's what the public is going to do anyway,
always
right?
decide. Absolutely.
Okay. Now, Michael, what I would like to talk about today is some of the problems that has pervaded Flint for a number of years, and we seem to be in a hole and can't get out of it.
Wow.
And those problems include crime, education. It includes jobs.
Yeah, definitely.
And how to, we find so many of our young politicians that go in to public service and get caught with their hands in the kitty or doing something illegal.
Yeah.
And we want to talk about what are you doing as a Democrat to make sure that we're breeding the right kind of young people to take positions in the future as we become part of a major part of the electorate by 2050.
Yeah.
So I'm going to ask you, what should we be teaching our young people to grow respect and among the public?
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, you got it. It's multifaceted, but I think civics education is important. And, we could get back to the education issue, but crime is a part of that.
No, let's stay away from crime. We're going to look at just creating a new, a new organization of young people who will take their public service serious.
Sure.
And will do the right thing.
Well, I mean, that's the issue sometimes. Are we giving our young people the tools? But every time you look around, there's a politician in trouble, doing something wrong, being investigated. Do you want to be one of these politicians? I think by and large, young people are saying, no, I don't want any part of that. And that's one of the issues that we have. And civics needs to be discussed more as we grow our young people and educate them.
Well, when you got started, you didn't necessarily study civics. You used common sense, what you had been taught, what you believed to be true.
Yeah, but for me,
how you wanted other people to look at you.
Yeah, sure. Right? But for me specifically, my issue was that I grew up in a political family, right? My uncle, John Hunter, was one of the first county commissioners. And so I remember as a kid handing out literature, being chased by dogs, and listening to some of the backroom conversations. It was exciting to me, and I gravitated towards that. That most kids don't have that experience, but we can provide them with those type of experiences by making sure that the kids are involved in handing out literature and understanding how politics works on their lives in general, and bringing them into politics so it's not some mystery thing. This politics and the government is us. And so sometimes it's a reflection of what our priorities are.
Okay, nail down the pool a bit to young Black or African Americans. Yeah. We want to create and grow a population of young people who are prepared to take over government when that opportunity comes. And it won't be a push and out. They will be part of the population naturally.
Yeah, they have to be educated though. I mean, you have to be educated as to how politics works.
But you have to do that today.
Well, I think what we have sometimes, and I this is one of the things that always bothers me when people say, "Well, I'm not a politician."
Yeah. Don't believe that.
Don't believe that.
No,
whenever I hear that question, or
I don't believe that at all.
I'm not a politician. Well, I say to myself, either there's two things going on with that person. They don't know what the heck they're talking about because they don't know politics, or they're lying. Because you are
every decision that you make is made based on politics.
And then people think, well, I can just run into this thing and be a politician. Yeah. And it's not that easy.
I'll make the rules as they go.
Yeah. And that's why people get caught up in these situations we have. This is one of the issues we have this is why the people who come into politics a lot of times without the proper training, without the background, without their own training, muck it up. That's why the process is so terrible, because we keep telling people you don't have to be a politician. If you're going to be a doctor, you need to have that background. If you're going to be a lawyer, you need to have that background. So when I hear people say that, well, nobody would say, well, I don't want no real doctor to be my doctor. You want a doctor. If you want to have politics work, you need politicians. And that's how it should be.
And folks, here's what we're talking about, and I hope that you're listening to this from Michael Harris and myself. And we work from two different sides of the table. But we do have something in common.
Right.
That the young people who go into public service, we need those people to have integrity.
Yeah.
We need them to work for common cause. We want them to be respected while they serve in the political process. But we don't have that necessarily today. It's very unlikely, and I can point out several things that's just really regrettable. The principals in Detroit that stole the money from the school district.
Okay.
That is, I know that they're not politicians, but they are people who serve in public service.
Right.
Michael, speak to that.
Well,
what do you think? Now, these were educated people.
Sure.
They were educated in all of the facets that you say they should be educated in.
Yeah, definitely.
But yet,
well,
what happened?
All right, so
I heard one lady say,
"You want the long version or the short version?" Because the short version is real simple. You shouldn't be stealing, right? That's number one. Okay. But secondarily, if the system were proper in Detroit and had the state not been taking it over, these individuals would not have been making those decisions in the first place. It would have been decisions made by the school board.
Okay.
And so you would have much more oversight. And so this is the problem we have when people say, well, we want to get out of it and we want to just have government stay out of it. Well, you need oversight.
Yes, you need oversight.
And so when the school board was there in Detroit, they were able to have oversight. People would come to meetings. There were open door meeting issues. But now you get principals at a particular school and all this money's coming at them. And I'm not saying people should be enticed by this, but you can also see the problem. I can build me a wing to my house, a new pool, and this guy's just going to give me some extra money. And this is the problem with that. And there's no oversight now because the state government, run by Republicans, have come right in and taken that over and let the principals make decisions when the school board should have been the one making those decisions, and they were pushed out.
I believe when Jennifer Granholm was here, we had managers as well. So I don't think that political party...
Much different philosophy, for one, and local control.
Why do the government have to assign financial managers to problem cities?
Well, I wouldn't say they do. I think listen, me personally, as a Democrat, and lots of Democrats agree with me here, so
I would expect them to.
Yeah, sure they would. They all agree with me. But nevertheless, as far as that's concerned, we as Democrats understand one thing. You have to have some local control. You have to have some oversight. You have to have some regulations. But there's also a philosophy of making sure everyone gets a say. And I don't think that's the process of Republicans sometimes. Republicans are do as I say, not let me listen to you and do what you want to do.
Well, I don't see that happening. Sure. I have a school district.
Yeah.
And people don't take directions from Lansing. Okay? Mm-hmm. None. They're not encumbered by the government.
Right.
They operate their own units of government. They keep the system solvent.
Right.
They serve the people, which government is supposed to provide services for people that they can't provide for themselves.
Right, right.
But that doesn't always happen in Flint and larger cities. Why?
Yeah, well,
that's the problem.
What causes
it? What causes it?
But there was a time when our government did work, and once again,
but what's causing this need for financial managers? I agree with you. We shouldn't have them. And Michael, I really think that the day is over when the government will ever assign a financial manager to a city. I think that's over.
Well, I disagree because they're still trying to duck and dodge in it, and let Flint tomorrow have more problems within the aspect of
the government. Then the governor has to take over by constitution.
No.
When your city cannot provide services to the people, and the people have the same rights as any other people in any other jurisdiction,
so now
then the governor must step in and repair the situation, or appoint someone that can run the city or run the school district.
Yeah, but now you're going to I agree with you. They don't have to necessarily do it in the process that they do it. So let's go back a little bit. When we talk about Flint, Detroit, and other places, this was a problem created by the state government, right? So the state government cuts revenue sharing. They do a lot of other things.
Like the federal government cuts revenue sharing.
Well, we're talking about the state now.
Okay.
So the state controlled by Republicans. And the state government comes in, cuts revenue sharing, and then they say to you, hey, you don't have enough money right now that we're happy with, not your standard, that we're happy with, so we've got to come in. Now, if you take that same standard, and this can be proved. You had other schools in the state of Michigan, you had other cities in the state of Michigan that were losing money, that had deficits, that were close to, and that's comparison. So say, for example, if you have Lapeer, who has a projected deficit.
Lapeer does not have that problem.
Let me get to my point.
Okay.
Lapeer had to close the school, though.
Yeah, we all do.
All right.
We all close the school.
All right. So obviously there was some financial issues, right?
Well,
so let me say this. But nobody said to Lapeer, you know what? We're going to come into Lapeer, and because you guys are having some financial issues, and come in and run it for you, and then run it in the ground. That's a whole nother topic. But in Flint, comparatively, when we start closing schools, everybody say, "Oh, they can't run anything. Let's go in there," and not allow us to solve our own problems.
You had a deficit that you couldn't pay your bills. And the Constitution says, Michael, that no jurisdiction may live with a deficit.
Yeah,
that's the Constitution.
Hold on. Deficit and budget shortfall. And so you got to understand the words they say sometimes. Okay. Sometimes they'll say, well, there's a projected budget shortfall. And people start to panic. Oh, there's a budget shortfall. And then people will use that in exchange with deficit, which are two different things. Is there a projected deficit? Is there an actual deficit? Can that be made up next year? Can we make some cuts? I think, once again, getting back to local control. Once we start understanding the definitions of where we're at, the Republicans said, oh, there's a projected deficit, that means you've got a deficit. No, it doesn't necessarily.
Well, I think they're a little smarter than that. Republicans is a little bit smarter than that. They're very good.
It can be proved over and over.
But that may be a political stance.
Now you get to my point. But the politics caused for them to find and make a reason for them to come in, because they wanted to come in because they want to privatize. And you spoke to this before. Privatization is almost not even necessarily, I won't even call it a Republican. It's almost a libertarian thing. And I think Republicans have to decide, are they going to be libertarians or are they going to be Republicans? And libertarians don't even care for government.
Now, Michael, let's bring this back to center. Now, we're talking about Genesee County.
Absolutely.
Okay. We're talking about Flint's failure in maintaining control of resources and cutting back when it had to. And it may not always be Republicans that cause this.
Yeah.
For example, what happened? In 1970, we had the largest income in the world per capita.
Flint.
And then by 2006, there were only 5,000 GM employees left in the city of Flint or Genesee County.
Sure.
We had at one time 77,000.
Right.
And they provided an income for black Americans in 1970 of about $30 million a year in 1970.
Yeah.
And I believe there was a tremendous amount of wealth at that time.
Right.
So when General Motors pulled out, who do you blame for pulling out? What happens when a large company pulls out of a region or a city?
Well, you've either got to make some adjustments.
You have to make adjustments.
Sure, yeah.
People need to make adjustments. Just like General Motors needed to make adjustments when the first Toyotas came into the United States from China, from Japan. They did no such thing. Yeah. They kept hiring people, and they didn't cut back until they had to.
Yeah.
And now they're in trouble. The city of Flint practiced the same process. Crisis government.
Well, let me speak to that. I can agree with you on a lot of that. You're absolutely right. But we've learned from that, and I think the lessons that we've learned are that we can go forward and reinvent ourselves. Now the issue is that how do we do that? And there's some beautiful minds, there's some wonderful people who have the ideas in this city. We just have to make sure that everyone's involved in uplifting the city of Flint and bringing everybody back into the process. And I think that's one of the issues that we have to decide on where we want to go with that. I don't think everyone wants to have everyone involved. There's people who would solve the problem with what happened with Auto World. There's people who would solve the problem with the water. There's people, wonderful people, but they may not have the stature. They may not have the position. And so nobody wants to listen to them. But I've been around this city everywhere that you can imagine. And there are wonderful people who have great ideas on how to make this city better, but they're not heard. Or even if they're heard,
are those the people who say they are not politicians? Don't believe them.
No, I'm not talking about. I'm talking about the average, everyday citizens.
Yeah.
Who you can have a conversation with all day, and they'll tell you, "Oh man, I got an idea for that. We got an idea for this." But those voices are heard sometimes, even in meetings. I've been to these meetings, town hall meeting, the next have your voice heard meeting. We go to all these meetings, but what comes out of that process? And that's what we need to start doing. There's wonderful idea people. Think about this city. You won't find a city in America that has more skilled tradesmen, more engineers, more people that are hardworking people than the city of Flint and Genesee County. You won't find anybody in any other region. We can compare to anybody. So why can't we get things done? And I think part of that process is making sure that we bring everybody into the process. And not everybody, but at least listen to everybody and take those great ideas and move them forward. Now, there's not always a vested interest from individuals who've been benefiting from the demise of this city. I mean, there's some people who benefit from disillusionment, from people upset with politics, and they're just lining their pockets. I mean, so we have to kind of push that to the wayside, definitely with this water issue. Once we see what's happening with this water issue, all bets are off. We need all hands on deck.
We do.
We need everybody
It's about
involved.
time that one Democrat stood up and said that we need all hands on deck. Yes. I agree with you.
Okay.
This is why you and I talking about this issue can find common ground.
Absolutely.
And the only way that we can go forward as a segment of the population is to find that common ground.
Yes, absolutely.
Because no one has all of the answers.
We can do it though.
Yeah, we can do it.
We can do it together.
Now, folks, I have Michael Harris, one of Flint's great Democratic advocates, and a well-known individual, well-respected and well-educated. And we're talking about Flint's crime, education, jobs, and how we grow a new population that will serve the public process and do it well and leave a tremendous legacy.
Yes.
Michael, here, with respect to the water,
Sure.
where did they get it wrong in the beginning?
Oh,
What
wow.
happened?
Yeah, well...
Now, according to the city,
yeah.
they said that the only non-compliant issue they had was with trihalomethanes.
Mm-hmm. Well, so let's just go back.
That was the only non-compliant issue, and that was in August.
Right.
But in the system itself, and the city of Flint has a loop that carries water around the city, right? Like this. Right. And it's divided into 4 quadrants. And these quadrants are separated by backflow prevention devices. So if water in one segment of the system got contaminated, it couldn't backflow into another segment.
Okay.
And yet, people were reporting from all over the city about how bad the water was. And I was rather annoyed by the press never asking what the source of the sample was. And they never asked for any testing. Now, if it's city water, it's going to have, you're going to be able to tell by the amount of chlorine in it, and you're also going to be able to tell by its clarity.
Right.
So I can't believe time is getting short on us, Michael. Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
Let me kind of
speak to that.
One of the issues I have with the water issue, and it goes back to the neglect, and I'm going to beat up now. Let me grab my little
go ahead, please.
Republican baseball bat.
Okay, go ahead.
And I'm going to beat you guys upside the head with this. Now, here's the issue. Did we need a water pipeline in the first place? Why did we get away from Detroit? I mean, those are the integral issues. But once people decided, which wasn't City of Flint residents, no City of Flint resident, and I can tell you this, said, yeah, let's get us a pipeline all the way down to Lapeer. And we're the middleman now. We're making money in the Al County. But what we're going to do now, no businessman does this. What we're going to do now is we're going to share it with 2 other counties. And we're going to make a board where we have less voice than we had when we were the middleman. That's not a good business move. Nobody in the City of Flint, no City of Flint resident was pushing for that. There were other outside interests. Because, once again, we get back to privatization. I believe, and the evidence is out there, that they wanted to privatize the water. Split up Flint from Detroit. We were one of the biggest customers. Split us up, sell the water. Now, putting that in mind, to get to that point, those individuals who wanted that did everything they could to save money, to cut costs, so they could show a profit in the end. And this, not including particular issues, turning us to Flint water was a money-saving issue for people who wanted to have the pipeline built once we split up from Detroit, which shouldn't have happened anyway. But that was a money-saving issue. And not putting in the proper containment issues was a money-saving issue. And these people didn't care about Flint as far as who cares about them. They were saying, you know what, will we save some dollars? Sure, I'm not spending money on that, because who cares? Nobody is going to care about the City of Flint. Michael, and we can still make a profit on that.
Can I just throw this in there?
Yep.
In 1999, now why don't you go to the internet and check this out.
Okay.
In 1999, the EPA published a report to Congress.
Okay.
It said, and I quote, that the infrastructure throughout the country was leaking and posed a severe threat to public health and safety.
Gotcha.
And then they published it again in 2007 and again in 2012. Okay. But all hell broke loose before.
Right, yeah, definitely.
In Flint. So now, Michael, the problem is the governor has promised that he would fix the problem, right?
Well,
okay. But you know, the chances are that we will never fix the problem within this decade.
So you don't have confidence in your Republicans?
No, I don't have confidence in the system. I just don't have. And look at all the people who are now rising and say, well, we have the same problem. If you go in and fix Flint's water, we would be left to drink urine.
Right.
And so they're not going for that. And it's going to take dollars from tax sources to correct the infrastructure. That's what the EPA was saying back in 1999. We needed $250 billion just to begin the infrastructure. Now, it was leaking then. You say we didn't need the Karagandhi pipe, but we knew that we had to boil water in the city for years. You know why? Because of the intrusion of fecal coliform from feedlots and farms and stuff like that, because our system was leaking.
And I didn't say we didn't need the Karagandhi. I said nobody who lives in the city of Flint was pushing for it. And then once again, the issue I'm saying, and I think we can agree on this, when you have these infrastructure breakdowns, you have to put some money towards them.
Yes.
You have to fix it.
Yes.
And we haven't been trying to fix it for a long, long time in this country. And, people are saying, well, government needs to cut, and we haven't been trying to fix it.
Now, Michael, part of the reason, I'm not going to blame Democrats for this.
Okay.
And I'm not going to blame people in public policy for this. But part of the problem that we'd never listened to the EPA report, this is because the infrastructure was underground, and we never saw the leaking pipes. And nobody really cared, unless there was an incident where somebody died, of course, through a crisis. Okay. So we always, and the Republicans said to the Democrat, okay, if you ask for a tax raise, I'm going to go out and see that you get recalled, right? That's
True. I agree
and
with
then it was reversed by Democrats toward Republicans. So people were afraid to go out and have a tax rise to create monies that would repair the infrastructure. That's why we are where we are.
Right.
So
you'd agree that's a Republican policy?
Well, no, I think that's
no taxes. We're not raising any more taxes.
Well, no, we just the Republicans raised the road tax. No.
Okay. Because Republicans are the ones.
I have to say that less slightly, but we just raised $2.8 billion a year just to raise the taxes. And Michael, I am sorry again. We got to come to an end. I've had a great time with you, Michael. And if I ever had somebody else on the floor on the show, I would love to invite you back.
Definitely.
You were highly conversational, highly knowledgeable, fair and just in how you assess things.
But come from you, Ms.
And I would say that I will rank you along with some of my most trusted Republicans.
Okay.
To talk to. And
on a Republican level.
And I hope the people out there will know that I hope they've learned something through the process, because they never see two black men talk public policy to this degree without a script.
Okay.
Okay? And I've really enjoyed you, and I hope that you'll come back again. And I hope that our audience will feed back to us. If you like the show, please call the show, 810-250-7365. And let the director know that you enjoyed the show. And now it's time to bring the show to an end. And again, thank you, Michael. I've enjoyed you. Will you come back again?
Absolutely. I had a great time with you, and I'll definitely be back. I appreciate you inviting me.
I agree that President Obama will be one of our most noted presidents.
Yeah.
But
not the greatest, huh?
Well,
one of the greatest.
Yeah, because we ratchet up and down who is greatest among all the ones that are out there. And we
top
just
five, Well, up there with the 91, 92 Pistons.
That is the end of the show. So until next time, stay focused.